Hey everyone, so in this I am going to be doing my flower girl thumbnails, and this is just going to be also another simple kind of illustration. I am doing a landscape type of canvas now because my watercolor paper is more landscape, and I feel like it'll be a nice change of pace from the more portrait style canvases. So yeah, I think landscape has its own little perks here and there. You have more space to work with. You can draw bigger than you were to do portrait. And you can also put in a little bit of surroundings. I'm gonna just be doing a simple, more portrait-like, more kind of still illustration, just because I think it's easy for you guys to do. Of course, if you want to go with a little bit more challenging pieces, by all means, go ahead and do that. I like making more simple illustrations. One, because it's easily communicated, and two, it's fun. Three, it's just more. It just boosts your confidence a little bit more when you do simple. You can always go complex later on, but I would say get good at simple, and yeah. So anyways, let's get started on some flower girl thumbnails. I'm gonna be just kind of designing her, kind of throughout the process. But I have some kind of images in mind. Now, when you have like an illustration in mind, sometimes it's good to make variations of it. So when I do illustrations, I like to think of how I want to illustrate it, what is most eye-catching, what is the most beautiful way to portray this character. Whether if it's showing the face or whether if it's showing, the expression or the body, whatever it is, I want to make sure that if I'm focusing on the face, I make it more facial. Like I make it like face-centric. If I'm going to show more of like the type, I don't know, the body, for example, I'm going to go more full body. If I'm going to show, backgrounds, I'm going to go for more background rather than character. So it depends on what you want to do. Since this is a more character-centric piece, and I want to focus on her face and her eyes, I'm going to be doing a close-up of her. So yeah. Anyways, let's just get started. So I'm kind of imagining a full-on frontal view. Don't mind if you hear if you hear the dog bark, and don't mind him. He barks all the time anyway. So I'm kind of thinking more of a front view. Maybe her shoulders are a little bit slanted. Well, I need to change my lead real quick, but I will go and be right back real quick. Alright, I'm back. Let me just zoom in a little bit so you guys can see better. So something simple, like a little portrait view is good. Maybe her expression could be very kind of tranquil, kind of refreshing. And I will also be showing you how to color eyes a little bit differently. So I'll be showing you guys how to kind of, if you like a certain style of how to draw eyes, you can take a reference image and then try to replicate it. In a certain style that you like it. So I'm actually going to make her her hand kind of like maybe like she's kind of tucking her hair behind her ear. So very, very rough. So she'll be kind of tilted a little bit. Her chest will be more tilted this way. And maybe it will give her a little bit of a sundress. Let's give her some bangs. And let's give her a little flower crown because she's like a little flower girl. So just very, very roughly, just putting that in. Because I like drawing hair, I want to kind of make her hair kind of blow in the wind. Now, when you're making hair that kind of blows in the wind, you want to make sure you understand where the wind is going. If the wind is going this way, then most of the hair will be going in this direction. Maybe save for like a few strands that will be going in the opposite. Maybe like this one can be kind of going the opposite because it's resting on her shoulder, maybe. And I like to also add both hands if necessary. And let's add some flower petals, because why not? So, that's one way to do it. You have more room to expand with the hair and, with the body a little bit. So that's why I like landscape for these kind of illustrations. So that is number 1, and I really like this so far. It's kind of like, I'm kind of picturing what I'm thinking of in my mind, what kind of pose she's going to be in, what kind of expression she's going to look in, and I feel like this is a good start. So number 2 would be probably more stable, rather than maybe like wind, for example. It would be more like maybe she's kneeling, or she's kind of like hugging her knees, maybe something more intimate, something closer. So her expression would still be really, really gentle and kind of breezy. And usually when it comes to like very breezy type of, I say breezy, but it's more like tranquil kind of, or kind of like very pure kind of expression, I like having my eyes be more full rather than open. So by full, I mean like the eyes are kind of covering both the upper lid and the bottom lid. Let's maybe give her her flower crown. Maybe we'll give her a little bow. And let's give her a bouquet maybe, if you want to draw some flowers. Maybe she'll be more side view, maybe she's leaning in. Here's her hand, kind of hugging her flowers. And here's her knees. Maybe she's sitting on her knees or something. And if you want, you can even add some grass on the background as kind of like a graphic background look. Almost kind of like a photo, kind of like a photography or photo shoot, meadow photo shoot. So those kind of references can be good to find as well, or good to do. And our third one, I'm going to move my camera just a little bit so I can fit. Maybe my third one could be, let's think. Maybe something more front view again. But maybe instead of like, she's actually wearing flowers, maybe she could be surrounded by them. So maybe like in this one, maybe she's kind of like a princess. And maybe she's like sitting on a swing of flowers. Of course, these are very, very rough, so I'm not really trying to make it perfect. I just want to convey the idea first. Maybe she has a braid in the front. And here's the flowers on the swing, for example. And maybe there's like a butterfly flying. So sometimes, adding background means context. So you don't necessarily have to draw a whole background on the back. It could just be kind of graphic. So even something like these flower swings, for example, that's more of like a graphic thing. It's more like just framing in the character, kind of emphasizing the character. The butterfly shows the context of where she could be. Maybe she's in a flower garden. Maybe she's in a, maybe she's in like a really nice photogenic area that has a flower swing on it for photos. I don't know. But, sometimes you don't have to stress too much on like, oh, what's the perspective of the background and the character. When your character is more central to your image, the background doesn't take as much authority, so it's more flat. So what matters is the character, if that's what you're focusing on. Maybe I'll give her a sleeveless look. There. So these are some 3 thumbnails that I actually really enjoyed doing. You can even also, that's fine. Anyways, these are the 3 little sketches that I'm going to be drawing. So I'm actually debating whether if I should do number 1 or number 3, but we will see when I make a decision. So anyways, that'll be it for this video. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.